Paul Nicholls' representative has garnered many a column inch since his high-profile purchase from France. Most of his career has been a pretty good one here. Rounded off last season with a win in that valuable novices chase at Aintree. He was just about the best of the staying novices. He's back over hurdles today after decanting Sam Thomas in much talked about circumstances at the last in the Hennessy.
And that was off a couple of pounds higher than this afternoon, and he was in there pitching. And I went back to the French hurdles form. He was a really good second to Goodbye Simon, who was a top juvenile. So that you can take plenty of encouragement. I don't think he's badly handicapped. He's always been crying out for the sort of trip he's now running over. I thought he was a big player.
Top one here is Tasbar. I was very interested to hear what Keith Reevely said about this horse when we spoke to him earlier, because he said that ultimately he was pleased with the results at Haydock, but I put it to him, he didn't travel particularly well through the race, and that Graham Lee, who rode him, felt that he was just a horse lacking a bit of confidence, so he was, in that respect, happy with the way he'd finished his race off.
Yeah, things haven't quite gone for him, have they? He looked the best staying novice in the country in the beginning of the year, and they bypassed Cheltenham to go to Aintree, and he flopped there, and he's had a couple of ordinary runs on the flat. He got beaten at Perth when he was odds on or hot favourite, and yeah, this was much more like it at Haydock, and I think that the longer trip today definitely suits. I just think the handicap of putting him up £5 is not done him any favours.
And so we can run the rule over some of the others that could run any sort of race. We just don't know. One of those is Ring of Roses, who has got form figures of P6P, but there's been some encouragement in a couple of those performances to suggest he's not a complete back number.
No, by no means, and perhaps, I mean, it's been the price is gone because it was put up by Tom Siegel in the Post this morning, and really you would want the 20-to-1 plus, and if you're not on at that, then 12 or 14 looks a bit skinny for a horse who, as I say, pulled up in the race Ballydub won.
There he is, 14-to-1, Timmy Murphy, for Henrietta tonight. He's a horse with lots of talent, but some physical issues, which may or may not have plagued him in one or two of his starts this season. I know you're quite sweet on the chances of Pennec, Jonathan. Charlie Huxley looking for a double for Alan King. Why do you like this horse?
I thought he ran very well in the Ballydub race, or the Punchestown race, where Ballydub finished second. He's handicapped to get very close to Ballydub on that. He was too free last time when he was 7th here, and I know they're very keen to try to get him to stay. But if you'd asked me at the start of the afternoon, if you told me that Charlie Huxley would have a winner for Alan King, I would have been pretty sure it was this one. But he's already had the other one.
And Don't Push It is a horse we know a lot about, and he is coming back to himself.
Yes, although he's never quite going to scale the heights that were once expected of him, I don't think. He was very keen in the paddock, couple of handlers, and he looked very much on his toes.
Let's add a little more to this mix. Ex-Supreme Novice placed horse Buena Vista, two staying novices, Tot of the Nar and Tis Free to Dream, Blue Shark, who needs to do better than he did on his comeback run last time.
Well, Buena Vista hasn't been running well this season.
Is being backed.
I know, but I think that takes a certain amount of bravery. Where do you want to go next? Blue Shark, first try over further than 2 miles 2 furlongs, so you've got a whole stamina issue there. Tis Free to Dream, placed in 8 of 10 starts since they put the cheek pieces on. Remarkably consistent, but this is a horse who looked like about 110 horse who suddenly found himself up to 128 because he's run well in some couple of novice races.
I gave him a sniff of getting into the frame here with 10 stone 2 on his back. At least you know he's going to run a race, unlike some of these.
You know he'll stay, whether he's got the class. He's actually carrying 10 stone 3. Obviously, Mr. Bradburn had a good New Year.
Yeah, too many pies last night. Don't know what weight I'd be able to do. 12 stone 3 maybe at a push.
And that just leaves Chug of Punch, who's the wrong price, of course.
Well, you didn't. I mentioned Tot of the Nar.
Oh yeah. Well, she's had a really busy time of it this year, and I don't think she's run up to her best the last 2 or 3.
Go on, what price should Jug of Punch be?
50s, because that's the price he wins at.
Right.
3 of his 4 wins have been 50-to-1.
Well, they're going to sort themselves out very shortly for this Unicoin Homes handicap hurdle race. 3 miles is the trip, and the starter is mounting the rostrum. We'll join Richard.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. He's on his top level, so being called in. And lining up and off, racing for the Unicoin Homes handicap hurdle. 3 miles is the trip. Buena Vista is one of the first to show, with Tazbar on the outside and Jugger Punch on the inner. As they step over the first of 12 flights of hurdles they'll take in all. Ballydub on the outside of Ring of Roses with the cerise cap. Then racing in about 6th place we have Blue Shark on the outer of Big Bucks and Tis Free to Dream. Don't Push It's under restraint at the back of the field in the early stages, in company with Pennick as they arrive at the next flight. Buena Vista, Tazbar and Jug of Punch, the first 3 to land. 2 lengths back to Ballydub in 4th place with Ring of Roses as they approach the 3rd. Blue Shark in about 7th place, ahead of Tis Free to Dream in the white and black colours. The nose-banded Big Bucks in company with Pennick. Don't Push It remains towards the rear of the field in company with Tot of the Nar as they make this turn and climb towards flight number 4. Buena Vista has raced enthusiastically right from the word go. Jugger Punch in the blinkers, Tazbar in the green jacket, the 2 that are his closest pursuers, as Buena Vista is in a big leap at flight number 4. Favourite was very fluent just behind the front 3 as well. Ballydub briefly joined Jugger Punch, who's just beginning already to find this a little bit tough, niggled along in 3rd place. Ring of Roses is 5th, ahead of in 6th place Blue Shark with Big Bucks on his inner. It is Free to Dream on the outer. Pennick, Don't Push It and Tot of the Nar continue at the rear of the field. So now the jumping pauses for a while. We have 2 flights in about the next 3/4 of a mile or so, and Buena Vista trying to steady it down slightly, but ears pricked. He is already looking to spy the next flight of hurdles to attack, with in 2nd place Tazbar. Jugger Punch is 3rd on the inside of Ballydub, with about 3 lengths back to Ring of Roses. It is Free to Dream on the outside as the leader steps over the next. Tazbar in 2nd wasn't overly fluent. Midfield still for the quartered colours, white sleeves of Blue Shark, Big Bucks, the red sleeves, the noseband, Pennick towards the rear, Don't Push It and Tot of the Nar. So continuing to turn and gradually now climb on in the circuit's time will be this long run down towards the final flight, this time a long run down towards flight number 6, as Buena Vista just extending the advantage by another length or so, with Ballydub now on the outside of Tazbar. Jugger Punch continuing to drop back through the field, has been passed by Ring of Roses in that bright pink cap towards the inside. Then we have Blue Shark, who continues to travel comfortably as Buena Vista heads down towards flight number 6. It's jumped really well, Buena Vista. Mistake by Ballydub. Clattered his way through it, landed on all 4s. And reminders for Jugger Punch as he continues to drift back through the field. So Buena Vista, who's travelled really well on the front end through the first circuit, looks very perky out in front and leads by about 3 to 4 lengths from Ballydub on the outside of Tazbar. Ring of Roses is moved into 4th place ahead of Blue Shark. Then towards the inside we have Big Bucks, who's yet to make a move, but he's just sidling a little bit closer, saving ground round the turn as they approach the next flight of hurdles, which again Buena Vista handles well. Big Bucks has about 4 behind. They include Pennick, Don't Push It and Tot of the Nar, all of whom still travel well, but still towards the back. And Jugger Punch, having disputed the lead a circuit or so ago, is now last and really beginning to struggle. Buena Vista towards the next flight of hurdles, the middle one of the 3 down the side. Ballydub in 2nd. Tazbar just struggling, one gets the impression to hold his pace slightly, is in 3rd on the inside of Blue Shark with Ring of Roses. Big Bucks begins to edge closer, so does Tot of the Nar in the red and yellow colours, and Don't Push It in the hoops, and Pennick as well, and all of that quartet at the rear of the leading group are still there with every chance, as Buena Vista, trying to thin out the pursuers a little bit, still leads by a couple of lengths from Ballydub in 2nd. Tis Free to Dream's made ground right up on the outside, 4 deep on the outer of Ring of Roses. Tazbar, who's still there with Blue Shark, Don't Push It, Tot of the Nar, as they approach the next flight of hurdles. Buena Vista, again very fluent. Pennick stepped at it towards the outside of the field, and he may just about to be received a reminder, at least a little click down the neck. So Buena Vista continuing to tow them along, this long run now and this swinging turn towards the second last. And it's Buena Vista, pursued by Ballydub. In third place is Blue Shark on the outside of Ring of Roses. 'Tis Frida Dream, then Big Bucks, Don't Push It. Pennick just being niggled along. Tasbar has just beginning to really struggle. And Toss of the Nar, red and yellow colours, trying to improve, but having to be niggled along now. So Buena Vista having a few of them beginning to toil, but he himself, just for the first time, is niggled along on this descent down towards the second last flight of hurdles. So Buena Vista, the pale blue and maroon, taken on by Ballydub, who makes a bad mistake and's gone. Ballydub has gone, badly interferes with Blue Shark. A great recovery by Barry Geraghty, had both legs one side of the saddle, struggles to regain the iron. It's cost him any chance. So Buena Vista, with now 'tis Frida Dream and Big Bucks with Don't Push It. So all of a sudden the complexion of this race has changed. Buena Vista's under pressure. Big Bucks and 'tis Frida Dream challenging on either side, with Don't Push It in fourth place. Still a long run to the last. Buena Vista taken on by Big Bucks on the far side. 'Tis Frida Dream and Don't Push It in fourth place, and then Totter the Nar. And it's Big Bucks for Ruby Walsh on the inside. Don't Push It for Tony McCoy. It's these two that forge on towards the final flight of hurdles. So Big Bucks coming down towards the final flight, gets into the bottom of it. Don't Push It lands on all fours. Big Bucks is still narrowly in front from Don't Push It. 150 yards to go, and Big Bucks, returning to the smaller obstacles, is going to gain some compensation for that capsize in the Hennessy. And Big Bucks scores for Ruby Walsh, Paul Nicholls and the Stewart family into second place with Don't Push It. Running on strongly, Pennick may have grabbed third from Totter the Nar, Tasbar and long-time leader Buena Vista.
Well, two horses most celebrated for their exploits over the larger obstacles have shown their class in spades in this Unicoin Homes handicap hurdle, most notably Big Bucks, and Paul Nicholls will be delighted to get him back into the winner's enclosure after his last fence mishap in the Hennessy Gold Cup at Newbury. Ruby Walsh taking over today, and Big Bucks has won in spite of bungling the last flight and has beaten Don't Push It, who has again run well and might well take a hand in something like the Pertemps final at the festival. Third was Pennick, who's run the same sort of race over this trip as he did over a previous trip, outpaced and then ran on. The horrible fall from the favourite Ballydub. Hope he and Richard Johnson are okay. That left the long-time leader Buena Vista appear to be going well at this stage, flanked by Big Bucks and ultimately Don't Push It, the pair of whom have forged on, and Big Bucks has come out the winner. And Paul Nicholls made a point of saying he thought this horse was best when ridden round the inside on a left-handed course, and that's exactly what Ruby's done today. Yeah,
some of those things might well have been different if Ballydub hadn't fallen, because he was upsized the leader, travelling well, although the fact that Buena Vista gets well run out of it is no guarantee that Ballydub would have been there. But Big Bucks, he looked reasonably well handicapped if he could go back to or transfer the form, and he had the French hurdling form, and he, despite the mistake at the last, he's seen it out in pretty good style from Don't Push It, who continues to run well. A good second affair along here last time, but just you can't say he's unlucky. He's just met probably a very well handicapped horse, even off a mark of 151.
It's winner number one at 2009 at Cheltenham for P. Nicholls. Fielding congratulatory phone calls, no doubt, and I'm sure he'll be well satisfied with the outcome.
Yeah, I'm sure. Good. Now, we're going to have a look at it all the way through again. I mean, the one or two, most of them travelled fine for a lot of the race. As you say, Buena Vista set a medium gallop and did travel well in front. He was being harried by Ballydub, who made one serious mistake with a circuit to go, and then capsized. Two out when he was bang on the premises.
Buena Vista seemed to really enjoy himself for a long way, but then just capitulated when he got challenged in earnest. And Ballydub up there going okay. Tasbar ran the same sort of race that he had done at Haydock, i.e. he was up there, then dropped out and then ran on a little bit, and Don't Push It held up. Yeah,
and one or two reservations about Tasbar now.
I think his trainer has as well.
Fair enough. Well, in that case, I have reservations about Tasbar now. I think he's looking a little bit tricky.
I'd like to see some headgear on Pennick, I think, now, because he's run a snatchy sort of race.
Well, he's run an extraordinary race because he was... Here we go, it's just the fall, upsides, and they are still 2 or 3 lengths clear of the others, so he had the drop on them, but Pennick, who had been under pressure, was one of those hampered, obviously not as bad as Blue Shark. He hadn't been going at all well, and then he comes storming up the running, and I did think he was, on last season's form, really well handicapped if you looked at it in a certain light, and the way he's finished, suggests that, I wouldn't disagree with the headgear line.
Big Bucks has been given a bit of treatment close to him, but he's responded. Pennick's really closing them down at the line. The front two aren't pulling any further clear. Tota the Narshi's run well.
Yep.
Tis Free to Dream ran well up to a point, but the only further serves to underline that this race might not have been run at a very strong gallop.
No, but I think it's worked out in a way that you can accept, perfectly reasonably. Tis Free to Dream did travel well, but just doesn't have the class for a race like this. Buena Vista, when the stable is properly back in form, will be of more interest. Pennick just has stormed up the running, but the two that matter had gone for the race before the last, and it's a long run, and the others either were nowhere near them or couldn't live with them, and they were the masters on the day.
Big Bucks' triumph, as we see it once again, the closing stages, opened up a few more options for Paul Nicholls and co. I wonder what the plan would be now. Interesting to find out. We'll try and do that for you. In the meanwhile, we'll catch up on the SPs with Angus.
Yeah, he's back to form, isn't he, this horse? I thought he was idling a bit in the closing stages as well. I think there's a little bit more in the tank. And Ruby Walsh didn't go for absolutely everything on him. And he's done it nicely from Don't Push It, another good run from that horse. Big Bucks 9-2, Don't Push It 6-1. Pennick flew home in third at 8-1. Ballydub the favourite, all 11 ran. And of course Ballydub came down and hampered this horse we've highlighted, Blue Shark. And watch the recovery of Barry Garrity. He does really well here because he's brought to his knees Blue Shark virtually. He goes over the top of Ballydub, and Garrity is out the side door, but somehow he manages to get himself back into the saddle. You'll see here, he's nearly down, gets back up, and there he is. He's over the side, Barry Garrity. He's lost an iron, but he gets himself back in. That's a really good recovery from Barry Garrity on Blue Shark.
Follow all today's market movers with exclusive